Hey guys, I'm Malvanis and welcome to my Mist of Pandaria pre-raid gearing guide. I'm going to go through all the relevant sources of gear that you can acquire before the first raids of tier 14 drop. Please check the timestamps in the description below for links to everything contained in this video. And don't forget the summary at the end for a quick reference guide. Let's get right into it. The easiest gear to get on launch and what most people are going to be rocking going into their first raids is Heroic Dungeon gear. Heroic Dungeons drop 463 eye level gear, sometimes with a socket which will be your bread and butter for getting your characters kitted out. Queuing up Heroic Dungeons requires a bag eye level of 435, but there are no requirements for walk-in heroics which you can do as soon as you hit the level cap of 90. To help reach the eye level requirements for random heroics as soon as possible, you can finish the Dreadwaste questlines, which you'll want to do for rep anyway, as some quest rewards 450 eye level pieces, and you can also queue up the Arena of Annihilation scenario for a 450 weapon. And for ults, you can also have someone craft you a variety of 450 eye level blues. The last boss of each dungeon also has a 0.5% chance to drop a 476 epic, most of which are weapons, but this is very unlikely to drop and should be your very last priority for gearing. You can check the dungeon loot tables in-game in the dungeon journal. To supplement your heroic dungeon items, Honor PvP gear which is eye level 458 can be a strong contender in certain slots. In MoP, PvP stats no longer cannibalize the stat budget of an item, and as such, PvP gear is generally on par with PvE gear at the same eye level. PvP gloves and belts contain sockets with a main stat socket bonus, which often makes them superior to the gemless dungeon gear. Shoulders with better secondary stats than the dungeon alternatives can be a good contender as well, while the remainder of PvP items need to be checked on a case-by-case basis. You can check these pieces at the PvP vendors on the Serpent Spine in the west of Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Justice points can also be used to purchase 458 gear, but as this gear has no sockets, it is generally not competitive with dungeon or PvP gear. Some pieces may still be good for your spec if they provide significantly better secondary stats, and these are quite easy to acquire to fill any slots you might still be missing from other sources as a last resort. You can check these items at the vendors at the top of Nizhao Temple in Town Long Steps. For tanks, the Ghost Iron Dragonling Trinket, which is a 450 BoE trinket crafted by engineers that can be gemmed with 1800 worth of secondary stats, will also form part of your pre-raid kit. This trinket is also quite good before you acquire Heroic Dungeon trinkets for most other classes. Some classes might also benefit from the BoP Alchemy Trinket, which is a 458 Mastery Trinket with a very strong, short duration main stat proc that can proc from damage and healing done. This trinket is especially good for classes that like strong main stat procs such as Warlocks, Feral Druids, and Unholy DKs. These items form the core of your pre-raid set, and the full set of these is what I expect is going to be the minimum requirement for most raids. Moving on from the baseline gear, there are a number of strong 476 eye level crafted epics that are relatively easy to acquire, and almost all of these are going to be pre-bis for every spec. Tailors, leatherworkers, and blacksmiths can all craft 476 BoE chest pieces and gloves of their respective armor types, with sockets that make great upgrades over dungeon gear. These require rep grinds to learn the patterns, but should be acquirable before raids launch. Engineers can craft 476 BoP helm for themselves that they can fill with 1200 secondaries of their choice. Do note that these cogwheel gems are unique equipped and so might cause issues for tanks using the Dragonling trinket. Scribes can craft a few different items. The first and most important are the Darkmoon cards, which is extremely strong and close to, if not bis, for most specs in tier 14. Scribes can also craft 476 offhands, which are great for casters and healers. Both the offhands and Darkmoon cards are BoE, so you can get them from the AH or from a friend. Additionally, Scribes can craft 476 BoE staves for casters and monks and feral druids. These staves, however, need 20 daily CDs and likely won't be craftable before raids release, except for a potentially an extremely long contested and very RNG grind in Gorlai halls. There are a number of 476 BoE World Drops that are quite strong for all specs, though keep in mind that these will inevitably require large amounts of gold to snag before raids. Crafted gear in the same slots is generally superior due to gem sockets, so don't get caught out buying one of these just because it's cheap, and avoid the helms with no meta gem sockets at all costs. A special mention are the 476 BoE one-hand agility swords that can be pickpocketed by rogues from mobs in Pandaria. Rogues can also acquire daggers this way, but they have quite a lackluster proc that will need to be simmed before committing to. The best place to see all these items is a loot add-on like Atlas Loot. Conquest gear can be used to buy 483 PvP gear. It's currently unknown how much Conquest will be farmable before raids launch, but it's likely that you'll be able to purchase a few items. With the changes to PvP gear and MoP, these are a great choice. Keep a lookout for your set bonuses that may impact PvE on certain specs, otherwise buy these lasts once you have all the rest of your gear sorted, and fill the slots that give you the most bang for your Conquest, most likely whatever blue items you still have left to upgrade. You can also check these items at the PvP vendors. Valor Gear can be used to buy 489 PvE gear, which may be gated behind Pandaria reps on launch. The VP cap in original MoP was 1,000 per week, so we can expect around 2,000 Valor before raids. Make sure to check up on this info before launch in case things change. You should aim to buy these last along with your Conquest gear once you have all the rest of your gear sorted, and likewise fill the slots that give you the most bang for your VP, again likely replacing any blues that you still have left. You can check out all these items at the vendors at the top of Nizal Temple in Taolong Steps. There are 2 grindable reputations that reward a 489 epic at Exalted. The first of these is the Klaxxi, which at Exalted, and after unlocking every single Paragon by finishing the Dreadwest quest chains, will give you a quest for a 489 ring. You can acquire additional rep with Klaxxi through dailies in Klaxxi Vests, and more importantly, grinding Dread Amber Shards from mobs in Dread Wastes and turning them in at Klaxxi Vests. The second of these reps is the Golden Lotus, which rewards a 489 neck. Golden Lotus rep can be acquired from daily quests, but most importantly, can be grinded through killing mobs in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. However, whether this mob grind is available on launch is currently unknown, so keep an eye out for this in the future. Finally, if the world bosses are active before the raids launch, the Shah of Anger in Kunlai Summit drops a quest item that can be turned in for a set of 476 boots of your choice. These are marginally better than the 463 socketed dungeon boots, but an easy upgrade to acquire. Shah of Anger also has a chance to drop 496 tier gloves and legs, which are unavailable until the Heart of Fear raid releases, as well as 483 Conquest PvP Gear. Galleon is the world boss in the Valley of the Four Winds and drops 496 gear. These world bosses drop the highest available pre-raid gear, so make sure that you do these each week if they're available. Check their loot tables in the dungeon journal or online for a full set of drops. Keep in mind that depending on the launch schedule and what difficulty you expect to clear in the first few weeks, that these world bosses might be worth using your weekly reroll tokens on. However, do keep in mind that while Galleon only drops 496 gear, you can still get PvP gear through your rerolls on Shah, and you're not guaranteed to get tier if you do get loot at all. As promised, here is a summary of all the loot sources I've mentioned. Keep in mind that you will most likely still have a few blues equipped even in optimal pre-raid BIS, and to choose your Valor and Conquest items wisely. That about wraps it up for my MoP pre-BIS gearing guide. Let me know in the comments below or tune into my Twitch streams if you have any questions. I'm aiming to produce more content like this before the official launch, focusing primarily on MoP PvE, so subscribe if you'd like to be notified for future content.